Right, good morning, everyone. We're just waiting for everyone to log in. Robert is already in place. How are you this morning, Robert?
Very good. Looking forward to the next half an hour.
Excellent, excellent. You've been all over the press the last couple of days, Robert, and the radio, I hear.
Yeah, I cut a very grumpy form on the radio. Just looking forward to potential stock issues in the new year, whether there's a deal or a no deal.
So I think
not a cheery note if you're a retailer.
I think you mentioned you're on Radio Norfolk and Radio Suffolk.
Yes, I'm on their list. And they may take me off now. They actually thought I was quite grumpy.
And how's business been the last couple of weeks run up to Christmas? Is it going okay?
Yeah, very strong. We made a decision in October that people would be shopping early. So we brought forward all next quarter's marketing into this quarter and actually front loaded it. So we decided we were going to go early. We thought people would shop earlier, and that's what's happened. So I think the whole retail industry has got themselves a few weeks ahead of the norm. Consequently, we're not really anticipating any great shakes in the sales after Christmas. We think people will have done their dough by then.
Excellent. Robert, I think I've just got a message that we're ready to go. So we'll make a start. So I just want to thank everyone for logging on this morning and tuning in to this webinar with Hughes Electrical and Robert Hughes. Today, what we really want to do is find out from Robert how business has been for him over this difficult period, to identify any key learnings, maybe have a think about the future, and maybe get behind Robert and find out what makes him tick. And at the end of it, there might be an opportunity for people today to ask him some questions as well. So that's what we're going to try and do this morning. Just a little piece of housekeeping. Everyone is on mute at the moment. If you have a question during our chat this morning, please pop it into the question box, and a recording of this webinar will be available after the event on our website. So the format, very straightforward. We're only here for half an hour, so it's a quick chat. We'll try and finish the conversation at 10 to 11 to allow 10 minutes for Q&As. Right, I think, Robert, let's make a start. So first of all, a formal good morning. Thank you for giving up your time.
Good morning, Ian.
We've got a lot to get through and so little time. So I'm going to set the scene. Hughes Electrical, coming up for its 100th anniversary next year. 120 million pound turnover, thereabouts. 30 stores, thereabouts. 750 staff, thereabouts. A really successful family business. So can you, Robert, just give us a little bit more insight into the business and what it does?
Okay, yeah, Hughes is the brand that we use to sell, rent and service domestic electrical products to the general public and businesses through, as you say, I can be a little bit more specific than you, 32 shops, 9 trade counters, 6 service centres, 3 websites and 2 call centres. And yeah, that's what we do. I think the important thing is to say that we focus on one brand and one set of stock, domestic stock, because that gives us a level of efficiency. But equally, we have a wider range of customers and a lot of routes to those customers to give us the efficiency. So hopefully that way we can, trade our way through any situation. And it's pretty much been my life's work since I joined the business to sort of move it from very good at what it did, but in a very narrow sense to something that's a lot wider and a lot more resilient.
So Robert, I know just to sort of give some context to the size of Hughes Electrical, you mentioned a statistic about the number of televisions that you sell.
Yeah, absolutely. We have around 2% of the country's share of televisions. So, over Black Friday, we did nearly 7,000 televisions in that week. And that's a lot, because the average price of those televisions is around £500. So you can imagine that it's quite substantial. And of course, with the television, you're also selling all the audio visual stuff. We have about a 1% share in kitchen appliances. So we are significant. We're in sort of a top 10 business in terms of the Suffolk or Norfolk in terms of size for businesses headquartered there.
Excellent. So 2020 has been a difficult year for all the reasons we know, particularly in the high street. You look at Arcadia, Debenhams, Monsoon, TM Lewin, and the list goes on. How's it been for you, Robert?
Yeah, it's. I made the analogy before. Sometimes you felt like a person with sort of 1 foot in boiling water and 1 foot in freezing water. On average, it's fine, but it ain't half uncomfortable, because we've had our website working at massive volumes. They've been literally since this started, really mid-March, when there was the panic buying started before the first lockdown. Our website has been operating at over twice the volumes of business, where clearly our shops were shut for a period of 4 months, where they could do very little business. So we've got one part of our business at full capacity, and another part very quiet. So how's it been for us? Actually reasonable. One of the reasons why actually good, because people are cocooning, is the expression they're using. They're prioritizing their money on their house and their creature comforts, which they're going to do so this Christmas because everyone's stuck at home. So you prioritize your spending on it, and unfortunately for us, we meet that demand.
You mentioned the website, Robert. Technology, digital, very, very important to a retailer, and I know Hughes spends a lot of money, serious investment in that place. But any changes? You mentioned to me about an in-store experience for someone.
Yes, so for us, we've been digital first for our marketing for 3 or 4 years. I mean, clearly we're a considered purchase, and people will often start their research online. They may go into the store to have a look and further think about it. They may go home, discuss it with their family members, and then buy it. Now, when they buy it, they could buy it online, or they could go to the store. They could do the worst thing of all worlds and go to Amazon. We hope they don't. But either way, they could buy it online and go and collect it from the store. They can go and pay for it in the store. We would then deliver it to them. They're touching, we've got an interface with them all over the place, but it starts, and the most frequent touch point is online. So we've invested very heavily from a very, very early stage with our online presence. And how we feel we can compete in the future, because you mentioned about the high street emptying, it is finding that space between a website and a shop, because people want to click and collect. We can see that in this last lockdown. We went out there and fought this last lockdown. We thought, we're not hiding away. We're allowed to do click and collect. We're going to promote click and collect. And we did through all our marketing. So customers were coming and learning more people learning to click and collect. That's the advantage. If you've got a shop and a website, you can click and collect. The other advantage you have with your shop, you've got brand awareness. Customers are comfortable with dealing with you. They know they can go and eyeball someone when something goes wrong, which clearly you can't find a phone number on someone's website normally. You can come and eyeball us in the shop. So they buy much more. We sell 8 times more to customers around the postcodes around our shops than we do elsewhere in the country. So for us, we can compete with having a strong website supported by shops. Before it was strong shops supported by websites. One of the legacies of COVID has been how that relationship has turned.
And you mentioned to me, Robert, the headcam. How does that work?
Headcount, staffing.
Yeah.
Well,
no, the headcam. The headcam.
Oh yes. Yeah. No. I mean, that's a case in point. Yeah. Thanks for mentioning that, Ian, because we were conscious during lockdown that a lot of people still wanted to deal with the people in the shop. But and they didn't want to face this web experience, but they weren't actually prepared to get out either, because they were self-isolating, or actually because, hey, it's wet out there. So we developed a system where a customer just goes onto our website and they can immediately click on a person, and then they'll come up on the screen. They will just effectively, you can see us, we can't see you. And that person can take the customer around the shop. So, just saying this morning, my postie came and dropped off my post half an hour ago, and he bought one of our leaflets. And what we're doing, this is digital first, there you can see a picture there of the chap involved, people involved, just advertising that space. We have to compete in the space between shops and web. We've got both. AO and Amazon don't have that advantage. We do. So that is an example of being in that space, isn't it? Where customers can be online, but still be in the shop at the same time. And I think that's the direction that retailers have got to go if you're in the considered purchase position.
So just so I understand, Robert, so literally that I'm logging on from home, but there's an individual in your store with a headcam who's walking around.
We put them in, they've got about 3 or 4 stores, so it's not every shop will have one. At any one time, there'll be 5 people available to take your call, and they will actually, it's more based on a selfie stick. So they can then show you the product. So sometimes you walk around our shops, you can see people walking around with a selfie stick, just talking to customers. And it's just an example of where COVID made us more innovative, because we were starting to think, how can we do more things in this space? And that's something about our business. We're always asking ourselves, what can we do differently? So lockdown 2 was not, oh no, it's lockdown 2. Lockdown 2 was great. What lessons have we learned? What can we do to educate our customers and get the most out of this? And okay, that is a case in point.
So the high street, Robert, all those businesses I listed at the beginning who have gone into insolvency or administration and things like that, what do you think the high street might look like in the next 5 years?
Ian, the big worry is, I mean, you know more than most on this call because you're an accountant. Retailers aren't going to go bust before Christmas. They're normally allowed to get through Christmas to convert stock into cash, and then the bank shuts you down. You don't go bust before Christmas. This year, they're all going bust, not just before Black Friday, they were falling over. This is your classic time to convert stock into cash. So clearly there is a very, very big problem there. And I think the analogy I tend to use, and I can see very well in our industries, you've got, the tectonic plates of retail have been going for a while, haven't they? You've got web pushing down the shops. And then suddenly in COVID, poof, you get an earthquake. You get 5, 6, 7 years worth of movement in one go. And what's happened is anyone who's seismology will always say it's not the earthquake that knocks the buildings down, it's the aftershock. It's lockdown 2 that's knocked them all down. That is not able to withstand that. So we are seeing, and I think what worries me a little from a shop perspective is that when lockdown 1 ended and that period, we call it the transition, we're transitioning to a new normal. We don't really know what the new normal looks like, but we know we're transitioning towards it. So our website didn't slow down. Our web business didn't slow down when the shops reopened. The shops got back to where they were, but the website stayed high. Yeah. And it hadn't dropped back. Lockdown 2 stays high. It's double yesterday's business, double online. So customers, I think, it's kind of reinforced their behavior and lockdown 2, and they're staying with it. They've learned how to do it. They're staying with it, and research shows that it's the older customers who are the most sort of coming onto the web most now. And so we've got to be strong in that space.
So going forward, landlords presumably might have a difficult time.
I think so. I mean, I'm not saying for one moment this is the end of shops, but just to quote an industry stat, and I speak with some authority on industry. I'm the chairman of our Electrical Retailers Trade Association. I've been for the best part of a decade, so I kind of know everybody. And we all talk, we all share information. Before lockdown, 38% of sales were online for electricals, which is a lot. We were ahead of the game on that, but it's probably not surprising. It was officially 38-62 in favour of shops. It's now 62-38 in favour of online. So yes, it will change. High streets have to get smaller. This is the only thing for it. And be less homogeneous. A lot of high streets were boring. We were getting the same old national retailers, and those retailers haven't got that brand love. People don't really love the national ones. They're more keen to support local businesses. There's a lot of civic pride. We can't underestimate. I mean, anybody listen to this event will think, yeah, my high street matters to me. I may not go there, but actually I want it to be nice because it helps support the community, it supports jobs, it's somewhere nice, you know, children can go there and it's safe. You want to have a nice high street. It doesn't need to be as big, but it needs to be nice. So we are going to scale it. It's going to be scaled down. We're going to lose some of those faceless nationals. I won't shed a tear about losing faceless nationals. So we can have more businesses there that are providing a better service, more represent the community. That would suit us very well. And so I think there will be something there. I don't think these shops are going to be converted into the offices. I think offices have got the same issue. How many offices does this country need? Clearly not as many as it's grown used to. It's housing that is needed, and it's a perfect environment. So high streets will come in, they will have more local businesses. The rents have to be lower. This is as simple as that. If you're going to do less business, you've got to cut your costs. We have massive fixed cost base in retail. So, you know, if you're going to lower your revenues, somehow you can't leave your costs at the same level because you've had it. So landlords are going to have to eat some humble pie on this.
Okay. So that's a very good summary, some key points there. Landlords have to be realistic, more local shops, smaller high streets, maybe
and focus on the service, on the customer and on the community and civic pride, yeah.
Robert, we are running out of time. So I'm going to ask you some quick fire questions here just to get your feel on things. So Brexit for you. Initial reaction to Brexit, what problems is it going to cause you as an electrical retailer?
Substantial problems for a period of months, simply because we're selling a product. There's no quick answer to this one, Ian, I'm afraid, but we're selling products that are imported. 90% of this products we sell are coming into the country, and there's a boom in electricals all over the world, and those suppliers are not going to prioritize this country for their stock if they've got all the extra costs and the delays, and then there's tariffs on the end of it, and they've got demand in their local market. What are they going to do? They're keeping it in their market. So most electrical retailers are struggling to keep the shelves full at the moment. If there's a no deal, I'm worried about January and February. Okay,
thank you for that. Question about your business. Obviously, it's grown hugely. It's successful. You've got a great team in Hughes Electrical. I know that. When you recruit someone, what do you look for, Robert?
Well, the first thing we'll be looking for is emotional intelligence. We want someone who can communicate, because we're having to sell quite a complicated product to people, and you have to like it and enthuse about it and be able to communicate that. So literally, passion is very, very important. So we rate emotional intelligence far above everything else, and actually have that intelligence to listen to people, understand their needs. So that for us is beginning, middle, and end. Is that level of emotional intelligence, and actually having that and caring about a business. What we do a lot in is we recruit from within, and what we want to do is have people coming up and then across the business. So whether you're in service, you're on a website, whether you're in a shop, you've worked throughout Hughes and you've got the same culture and you've got the same message, and so actually recruiting from outside, we only tend to recruit at the bottom. No management positions are ever recruited from outside the business.
Well, that's really good, Robert. And one thing I know, which, you know, again, conscious of time, but just explain the passion card and how you use it in business.
Well, I think we all know in business that there's never a black and white answer to questions. We all deal in shades of grey. It was that obvious, you'd have done it years ago. And effectively, how do you get through that? Spending ages and ages arguing about a shade of grey. If someone is passionate about something, they can literally just play the passion card and say, I'm passionate about this, we've got to do this. And you know what? Argument end, we all go, oh, okay. That person, of course, owns the project, but it's going to happen. We won't question it. It will be done. And it actually works at many, many levels. And literally everyone sits back and goes, ooh, the passion card.
I must admit, I do like the passion card. And, you know, we may be playing it in MHA Larking Gowen in the future. You never know. But interestingly, you know, you've not got a blame culture either, have you?
No, well, you can't, because, I mean, our business has been trying to move away from a problem. You know, if you just stayed like Arcadia broadly with its shop brands, I think you asked me the other day, actually, you said, why have you survived and Arcadia haven't? And I said, well, yeah, we've got one brand and 4 channels. They've got 4 brands and 1 channel. They weren't resilient. And that's the case. They didn't really move on. They weren't trying new things. They just kept doing the same thing. And so you've got to try things. Of course, they're going to go wrong. Half the time, we make mistakes. We never tell anybody off for making a mistake. We're pretty annoyed if they carry on making the same mistake. That's a different matter. But actually, so there's no blame culture. So so we learn everything. Got to learn something from it.
And move on. Excellent. Final question, because we're coming up to time. Final question: if you had one piece of advice, one golden nugget for a business owner, business leader, someone in business at the moment, what would that one piece of advice be?
Yeah, it can sound terribly glib and general. With one piece of advice, you go to a bookshop and it's absolutely full of shelves of business books. But for me, the most important thing, and the thing I live by, is being very aware of my weaknesses and actually recruiting somebody close to me where it's their strengths. So my back is always covered. We're a team. So yeah, you need to be honest with yourself. I'm an optimist. I need to have someone who slightly, sees it in a half glass empty way, very near me. And I'm not a finisher. I've got the big picture. I like the detail. I like the chase. But actually, getting that last pound of flesh out of something, I've lost interest by then. I'm moving on. I need someone who's a finisher. And so that, I think, is very important, especially as your business grows, because you can't grow a business all on your own. You have to have a team, and you have to know your back's covered.
That's really good advice, knowing your strengths and also, more importantly, knowing your weaknesses. So that's really good. Robert, well, it's now 10:51. We said we'd have a chat for 20 minutes. It doesn't seem,
that was 3 minutes ago, Ian.
Yeah, we could be here all day. So now's an opportunity for people to ask any questions. You've got the question box on the software. So if you want to type in a question, I can ask Robert. There's one question here. I won't name the individual, but they basically said, Hughes have been a family business for now 100 years. Is there anyone in your family to take it on to the next generation?
No, there isn't, and I don't know whether the next person running Hughes will be a Hughes. I mean, at two levels. First, when I came in, it was a lot easier. The business was a quarter of the size and really only did a couple of things. Now we're doing a lot of things, and to get somebody's mind around the whole lot, I think you've got to come up through the business to understand it. So that's one thing. I mean, but what we have done is, and this is at a personal level, I've been very interested for the last 3 years what somebody else would do with this business, because I'm always thinking about the business. So I saw on the quiet, I set it up in place my replacement. So I identified somebody who I really thought could do a good job with running the day-to-day stuff in the business. You know, the people, the products, the processes, the really nitty-gritty hard stuff. So I identified someone who I felt could do this. And on the quiet, put him through an MBA at Cranfield Business School, just to polish him up a bit. And all, you know, this particular person is sort of young, energetic, charismatic, bright, you know, all the things I used to be. So I figured, right, let's see. So the plan was for this person to start in March, March 2020. But I thought COVID isn't going to ruin this one. So I've actually now have a chief exec. It's not me anymore. I chair the business. So that important first step, and it's working out wonderfully for this person, simply because this lockdown issue created space and has allowed us to turn around and actually kill off projects that weren't working, focus on things. And so I think in terms of the succession of the business, that's been managed, but not through family. It's been managed with someone from within the business.
Yeah. So the answer, no, but
no
problem, because you've been planning ahead and developing your team to move the business forward. Right, we've got another question. Do you see your business model remaining the same in 5 years' time with specific focus on retail town centre stores? So I guess the question is, are you going to move out of the high street?
Yeah, okay. So the one thing, reason why we've survived, and if you go back 25 years, there were 21 electrical retail chains. Of those 21, there's only 3 of us survived: Currys, Richard Sounds, Hughes. The reason we've done that is because we're multi-channel. So before COVID, this is the work of a lifetime, I said earlier, managed to get 25% of our income coming from sales in shops, 25% of income coming from rental, 25% of income coming from sales online, and 25% of our income coming from trade business, the business to business side. And that was a perfectly balanced. It's a table with 4 legs, all the same size. Beautiful. COVID has clearly undermined that completely. So you've got to bear in mind that when we talk about shops, it's only a quarter of our business. The shops have to work with the web, and in many ways, some of the out-of-town shops work better because they do better fulfillment. So click and collect is very important to us, and you can't often do click and collect on a high street. So Norwich, for instance, we had a shop in the town centre, and that shop has been empty for 3 years now. Whereas we've got an out-of-town north of the town in Mason Road and one south of the town in Hall Road. And those do click and collect, those do everything else and show a better range, because our shops have to support our suppliers who want to show quality product, and effectively increasingly suppliers are paying us to put product in shops because you can't easily make money out of shops. But suppliers need us to have shops, because otherwise you're going to end up buying the cheapest Chinese or Turkish stuff, and there's going to be no room for new technology. So at High Street, we will have shops. We will continue to have shops. We may not have 32, it may be 25 in 5 or 10 years' time. There is a right number, but we're not far away from that right number, but they're not all in the middle of high streets. If it's a big city, you can't get a car outside to do click and collect, then it's more likely to be on a retail park.
Robert, very, very honest answer. Thank you for that. I've got lots of questions. I'm just going to pick another one here. I saw you have given all staff the day off on Boxing Day, usually a high sales day. How else have you managed the balance between staff well-being and commercial drivers this year? That's a good question.
That is a really good question, because at one level, as I said earlier, we've got some people who are working really long hours. So on Black Friday, we need them and they have to work from home for this. So all our call centres are operating from home. We send Just Eat vouchers, really mindful of healthy living. So they get a delivery of Just Eat vouchers so they can sort something out. But we're a family company. We do naturally respect those things. And normally, you'd be thinking Boxing Day is one of the busiest sales days. What are we doing shutting? But actually, it's the right thing to do, because for some people, 2 days off without anything to worry about, the whole company shut. Going back 50, 60 years, we used to have engineers working on Christmas Day for rental. So really? 2 days, you have to find that balance. It's not optimally profitable, but it helps the culture of the business, and it's a sensible trade-off for us to do. We won't be here in 100 years' time if we don't take the staff with us, put it that way. I won't get your balance sheet if your staff are more important.
And agreed. And also, you are open on Christmas Day and Boxing Day, because I could go online and buy something.
Thank you, Ian. You pointed that one out. Absolutely.
Yeah. Right. I'm conscious. We've got 2 minutes.
Yourself. You put your name, your address, you pay us the money. You do anything you don't do is pull it off the shelf. That will be done on the day after Boxing Day now.
Right. You've got a fair number of nice comments here, Robert, talking about passion and the passion card, and truly understand the meaning of the end customer experience. So that was a very nice comment on there. Someone saying that they didn't appreciate the size of your business, and it was their local electrical store.
We don't let them out normally, Ian, because we'd rather people think we were local and we're of that community. And we are, but actually I mean local, Norfolk, Suffolk, Essex.
Yeah.
But we genuinely feel part of the community. We spend, we give budgets to spend on community projects.
No, that's great. And last question, because we said we're going to keep it to time, and we're 1 minute to go. And it's my personal question to you, because you are successful, big business. Do you have a to-do list, Robert?
Yes, but it's not very big, because I have to finish it, because that's my weakness. I don't finish. So I have 3 things on my to-do list every day that I'm thinking, right, that's what I've got to get done. And actually, I'm not really happy till I've got them knocked off. So
Right.
short and sweet is the answer to that one.
So being realistic with what you can achieve in the day.
Yes, I told you I'm not a finisher, so I have to
Yep.
be realistic. I can't have a big sheet of it, it won't happen. And if it doesn't happen once, it won't happen again. So
Robert, our time is up. We said we'd keep it to 11 o'clock and we're bang on 11 o'clock. Really, thank you for your time today, because it is a really busy period for you. I'm guessing televisions are still the best seller at Christmas for you?
they were eclipsed by PS5s, and that's another whole problem.
Okay, but you've got
No,
them in
we haven't
stock.
got any more left before anybody thinks.
Right. No, it's been a joy talking to you. I think some of the things that I've pulled out that you've made really clear, that Hughes is successful because it's got different customers, different routes to market, which is really good. You know, it's embracing technology in the website, which probably all retailers really need to look at. And I think the big thing that a lot of people have picked up is your passion and playing that passion card, which is really, really important. And I liked your last piece of advice, you know, one piece of advice, know your weaknesses. So I think a lot of people will go and have a think about that today. So thank you, Robert. On the screen, you can see. No, thank you. You can see on the screen, you can find out more about MHA Larking Gowen Insights, our podcasts, our blogs and webinars. Go on to our website and have a look. I'm sure you'll find some great stuff on there. And all that's left for me and Robert to do is to wish you a good day and a great Christmas. And thank you for your time.